You're all very welcome to this Wellbeing in Challenging Times. So my name is Silke, some of you may know me, and yeah, it's just a different moment. So I just would like to invite you actually for a little grounding before we start. So just settling yourself in for a moment and just becoming aware of that you're actually sitting. I hope you're sitting comfortable on a chair. So letting everything drop into the body as good as you can. So there's nothing you need to do right now. Just arriving in this moment here. Noticing the weight of the body on the chair. And then becoming aware of your feet. The ground underneath your feet. Noticing the whole length of the body from the head all the way down into the toes. And then maybe putting one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. And connecting for a moment with the breath. So we're actually going to start by breathing in, counting to 6. So breathing in the count of 6 and breathing out the count of 6. You can do that breathing in through the nose. And if you want, you can open your mouth when you're breathing out. And really letting all the air go out on your out breath. So we're doing it one more time, and just the invitation now is to really notice what's happening when you're breathing out. So breathing in again through the nose. And then breathing out, noticing. And then letting your breath settle again into a normal rhythm. You can relax your hands. And then I just like to invite you for a moment to just let come up whatever you think when you think of well-being. So just letting the word well-being circle around you for a moment. What does it mean to you? Not necessarily thinking very deeply about it, just noticing what comes up maybe inside you when you're thinking of well-being. Your own inner well-being. And letting that resonate for a moment throughout your whole body and mind. Maybe even bring into mind a moment when you really experienced a sense of being really well. And then connecting gently back to the breath again. Doing the breathing one more time, breathing into 6. Then breathing out to 6. And you can start, maybe if you want, shake your hands a little bit and your feet. Give yourself a little stretch. If that's something that you kind of feel you would like to do right now. Okay, so again, making sure that you're sitting really comfortable. And I would like to invite you to have maybe something to write there, because we're going to I would like you to go away today with something that you have actually, so something that you can maybe work on. So we're going to look into well-being, into the different aspects of it and how we can enhance it in our lives, and also how we can set small little goals in our everyday. So it can be daily and weekly. So just looking into what we already have, what supports us. So yeah, sometimes writing things down can be very helpful. I find that, so it becomes more clear, and we are noticing there might be different things we hadn't actually considered. Okay, so I'm going to share with you my my well-being findings here. So we've gone a little bit too far. So really looking today at what do we need really to maintain a balanced mind state and enhancing our well-being. So what does really the balance depend on? And I mean, at the moment, we're all experiencing very, maybe rocky moments. And it's also, that's just what the times are right now. They're very uncertain. And I think this is more so an important time to really look into our well-being and kind of seeing what can we really do, especially in times when things are a little bit rocky. Because, when things are good and balanced, it's kind of easier to maintain it. So this is really like well-being can be really a challenge right now in these challenging times. So that's what we're going to look at. So the 5 types of well-being are really kind of contained in this, physical well-being, of course, what's in my body, looking at fitness, looking at nutrition, looking at everything that kind of enhances me kind of on a physical level. We have the social aspects, that is our relationship to ourselves, but also the relationship to others, our environment, our work environment, also our home environment. Then we have the economic factor, which is, financial well-being. And on a psychological level, emotional well-being, of course, is a big part of it. So what I would like to invite you right now to do is take your piece of paper and starting to draw one circle in the center. So this will be becoming your inner circle of well-being. And then around this circle, if you draw 5 more circles, that will then be connected to the types of well-being we're seeing here. So around the 5 circles, and you can leave a lot of space because we want to write in the circles. If you've made it too small, you can always make it bigger. And this is something for you to work on. You can always come back on it. So that's just a draft now today. So you can write those aspects outside the circle if that's helpful, the social well-being, the environment, economics. So just if you write that outside of your circles. And then for a moment, maybe bringing back what came up for you earlier when I was asking what does well-being mean for you. Did something kind of come up that maybe can be put in either of these circles, or did something else specific come up for you in regards how you're viewing well-being for yourself? So it might be an invitation to see, could you put it into either the circles or make a note of it? And then looking at all the different aspects again and see if it's maybe possible to write maybe 2 2 things in each box. And if you don't have 2 things, if you maybe have 3 for one and only 1 for the other, just see what comes up. You know, if there's nothing coming into one of the types, so it's really kind of looking, what have you already available right now? So what have you available in each of these compartments of well-being? What are you already doing in your life, you know, that enhances your well-being in a psychological and environmental or social well-being? Yeah, is that? So we're taking a few moments for this, and then I think it would be really lovely to have a little sharing on that, just to maybe go around, we say the name and just say maybe one thing that came up for you in regards to well-being. I hope that's okay with everyone. So give yourself another moment. And don't worry, like I said, if you have nothing in one and maybe 2 or 3 in another, we'll look into that. And it's, you know, we can see how we can find the balance and maybe fill it up. So, but just, this is just a brainstorming. This is just for you to know where you are really right now in this moment in connection to your own well-being. And these are just really the outside factors of your well-being. So we'll be looking at the inner as well. So we'll have those circles, the outer circles, and we have our inner circle as well, of course. So we may be okay to do a very quick round. So we'll have to go through, I suppose you are able to unmute yourself. So maybe I'll just say the name. And then if you just say your name and just maybe one of the things that stood out for you now, maybe anything that you discovered now in well-being, what does it mean for you? Can be just a word, you know, just anything. I think it'd be wonderful to hear it, because there can be a big variety and maybe we learn something that we haven't thought about it ourselves. I have Maggie here as the first name. Would you mind, Maggie?
Yes, sure. For me, well-being, walks plus fresh air equals happy.
Beautiful.
I have.
Yeah. So you put that into
Physical,
yeah. So walking, of course, you know, that what keeps you happy. Thank you, Maggie. There's Kronya.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hi, Kronya. How are you?
I'm good. I think for me, well-being at the moment in lockdown, I'm feeling with the good weather, I'm walking a lot more. So that's helping physical, but also psychological, getting out there and just allowing the fresh air to actually nourish your brain while you're out is great.
Yes.
And that then is linked then into the environment as well, which is lovely, being at nature.
Absolutely, yeah. The healing powers of nature, I find that very strongly now. I think we are reconnecting back into it, which is wonderful. Yeah. Thank you, Kronya. I think that's the thing, isn't it? To be really in nature, because we have more time as well. So that's wonderful. Mary. You there, Mary?
Sorry. Hello,
No,
Silke.
okay. Hello, good morning, Mary. How are you?
Good morning, Silke. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I have psychological content and at ease. That's what well-being means to me. And to maintain that, I'm doing walking and I'm actually observing nature, which is something I wouldn't have done before.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think you mentioned content, that's a very big one, isn't it? You know, on a psychological level, you know, that we are kind of content with the way things are, even if they're a bit choppy right now and a bit strange. Yeah, and taking that time to really observe nature is very big. Yeah, thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Silke.
Yvonne, you want to?
Hi, Silke.
Hi.
For me, at the moment, I find I have a lot more time to spend with the children, and we seem to have more time to spend together. Even at meals, they're not as rushed, or just everything is at a slower pace. So I have to say, I really enjoy that.
The slower, yeah.
Yeah, and we seem to, children are baking together. Seem to do a lot more things together. So for us as a family, I think that for me is a lovely sense of well-being.
Beautiful. Yes. Yeah. That sense of being together, sharing things together. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. And having the time for it as well. You know, that
the
is
time. Exactly.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people that becomes really, that's really highlighted right now, how we maybe just didn't take the time before. Of course, we also had less time, but also maybe just we didn't take it. So it's kind of time management as well. Yeah. Thank you so much, Yvonne.
Thanks.
Anya.
Hi, Silke.
Hi.
I guess the identifying with nature definitely at the moment is a big one, and in the wildness of things and observing things in a way that I guess, like you said, we didn't have time before, and also absolutely the joy of family life at the moment.
Oh, there is definitely joy coming in. Beautiful. Yes. Yeah.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I think, it's incredible, isn't it? We actually are in a, I mean, as long as we're healthy, of course, we are actually in a position of noticing that and spending more time and cherishing it. Yeah. Thank you, Anya.
So, Silke, just one other thing that occurred to me was that just trusting the events as they're unfolding gives me a real sense of, I suppose, being in the moment with it. So.
Wonderful. Yeah, that is powerful. Yeah, trusting that things are okay or will be unfolding in an okay way. Yeah, that's very helpful, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's powerful, actually. So, is anyone else there? Has anybody shared? Everybody shared?
Me. Hello. Hi.
Sorry, of course. I have so many hot symbols here. Of course. Yes, please, sorry.
I'm Deirdre, and I suppose the scary thing for me was at the start when you asked us what to think about what well-being meant for us. The words kept in control, kept popping up, and I kept trying to squish them back down again and ignore them. So I think as everyone has been talking here, it really does mean a sense of control of your time again a little bit, so that I have the ability to prioritize the things that I really want to prioritize. And I think that leads to a real sense of calm for me then. So I'd like to think it's not that I'm a control freak, but that it is that part of it is very important for me to be able to focus on the things that I really want to focus on. And even as we start to evolve, I can see that slipping away a little bit, and I would love to figure out how to hold on to that.
That's a very important, strong point, isn't it, as well, the time management, and maybe just calling it management rather than, controlling time. But it's very incredible to be in charge of it more, and actually that is quite empowering, isn't it? Yeah. To know, okay, I have my day in front of me and I'm kind of not pushed too hard, yet we're doing things. And I think there is that slight little fear, or will that go back? Will that be taken away from me again? That sense of, and I feel it is a huge part of well-being to know how I can manage my time and, how I can, what I can do in my day, enjoy all these things. So hopefully we'll find a balance to keep certain things whatever we've learned as well from this all, because I feel there's so much incredible learning really and knowledge that we've gained about ourselves, but also how we are, you know, and what well-being means to us. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing all these wonderful aspects. So we have still this one circle, and I was saying it earlier, so the circle in the center, so this is really like, this is your well-being coming from a real inner sense of self. So, you know, I'd like you maybe for a few moments just think of what could that be, because we have been talking about things, they're kind of slightly outside of ourselves, you know, like family, walks and nature and all these things. So just looking for a moment, maybe what is it inside ourselves really that brings us well-being? And this is a very personal for you. You don't need to share that. That's just your own information, and you can look into that. But we'll talk a little bit more about it. And don't worry if you feel right now, what does she mean exactly? We'll get there. So, so it might become clearer. So this is just kind of looking slightly different and maybe a little bit deeper kind of into yeah, the well of our being really. For me, it's kind of a beautiful word actually. When you look at well and being, it's like you have the word well. And I know it means being well, being healthy, but also you have the well, you know. And so for me, it's kind of like this inner well of being. So it's like your own being, but you have to fill your own inner well somehow in order to actually also contain, you know, that well-being outside of yourself and be able to share it with your family and your work. Excuse me. So really what we want to look at is this holistic well-being for me, you know, what we have already said, you know, what does well-being mean to you? So including all the different aspects. Then there's also an interesting thing, what does well-being rely on? We've just kind of slightly, even with Deirdre, touched on it a little bit, like that sense of, you know, what will unfold again, you know, how much can I maybe be in charge? And, you know, so what does my well-being rely on? And then also what supports have I available? So inside again, inside myself, but also outside. And then I find always this thing, you know, where can I find support? Just not being shy in looking around and seeing who could maybe support me, because we can be very private when it comes to our well-being. And unless there's something physically wrong with us, it is hard to maybe look for support. So I feel I would like to encourage you to maybe see what supports have you in these areas available, in the areas that you were writing out, and then seeing where can I get support if I need it, you know, if there are areas. So the inner well in our being, again, looking at that inner circle and seeing, for me, it's kind of, it has to come from the inside out. So it's something that we kind of feel from within, really. So what I really like to as well look into, what does our balance rely on? So the balance of, you know, I want to be well, but what does it rely on? So a balance system really contains these alignments of the doing, the knowing, and the being mode. And a lot of the times, and that's why I kind of highlighted the doing and the head, a lot of the times we can be very much in the doing mode. And when you maybe now look at your circle even, I mean, the doing mode is very much outside of ourselves as well. It would be something to do with work or something. So it's very much, it comes from an intellectual point, and it's very much in the head, and it's absolutely wonderful to have it, but sometimes where it's too much. So then we have also the knowing part, which is really the connected to the heart, but it is connected to who am I, you know, what are my values? And we're going to go a little bit deeper into that. And then the being, which really allows, you know, bringing it all together. And then how do I show up in life? So how do I bring everything together? You know, how can I be with knowing what I want, what are my values, what is my, what can strengthen my well-being? And then so that's, they call it the three brains. So you have your head, your heart, and your gut. So it's kind of, you know, not just relying on your head, but there's also the wisdom of the instinct, and also there is emotions and other things we feel. So just kind of looking where we can sometimes align things when we're maybe too pressed in one part. And again, there's nothing wrong with any of this, you know, we're all, but it just can be very interesting in sometimes looking into a different aspect and maybe becoming aware where there could be an imbalance. And then just it's all very gentle, you know, the invitation is always looking at it with very kindness and compassion for ourselves. So there's nothing right or wrong. It just can be very helpful to see, you know, how we can react when things are off balance. And so the knowing is like the self-awareness is a big thing. So for me, this is the inner circle. The inner circle is really a self-awareness, you know, the knowledge about myself. So what is it that is important to me? My values. And so who am I deep down? For me, that is all, like I said, the inner circle. And if you've already wrote things in your inner circle, if you're actually asking yourself, what are my values? These would kind of, for me, I feel these would be my values. So for example, I share what, say in my inner circle, I would maybe have being seen, being heard, being listened to, and respect. So these would be things that would be in my inner circle. So that is actually a value. So I can translate that being listened to or listening to others is a value of mine. And so, sorry, now I had something else I wanted to share. Yeah, so the inner trust, having a voice. So all these kind of things. So you can see for yourself what it is that you have in your inner circle, but that will be translated. You can, so these are your values, you know. Your values are, you know, I like respect. I want to be heard. I want to have a voice. So, and then really looking at what do I need to do more of or less of. So that becomes, again, it's the knowing, the self-care aspect, you know, that we kind of still a little bit like cringing at, but I think it becomes more a knowledge now that self-care is not a egocentric thing or an egoistical thing. It really is important to nurture ourselves first and look at that inner circle as a nurturing my own well-being and filling my own well, so that I can actually then give it out, share it out with my family, bring it to work, and, you know, share it out in a wider community. So I think it's luckily becomes a little bit more known. And self-care can be anything from nutrition to, yeah, it can be spending time in nature. You know, it can be taking a moment, taking a pause to look at that. And I feel what you're doing this morning, you know, joining this course is actually a form of self-care. So just acknowledging that for yourself and looking into that. So how do I talk to myself? That's another incredible thing about knowing myself. We have a tendency to be quite critical of ourselves. So knowing how we think can be very, very much enhancing our well-being. So looking into the thinking mind, and, you know, the critical voice will pop up, and sometimes it will stop us from actually enjoying something even. So it can be even on a small moment of some, you know, where we might just want to enjoy our cake, but there is this little voice in the head going, no, you can't be eating cake now. So it's kind of noticing when we even stop ourselves, you know, in experiencing joy, really. So that can be very important. Sorry, just saying it at this point, you do know that at any point, if you have a question, so I think there is you can write them in, but, you know, at any time you can unmute yourself if there's anything that you'd like to share or say, okay? So knowing, again, can be very important to bring, when we bring the attention into the now, actually into the details of what we're actually thinking. You know, it's really that awareness. So knowing really first what's inside so that we can actually clearly bring it to the outside. So knowing ourselves and the self-awareness is very important in keeping the balance, because if we're not actually living from our values, there will be some form of imbalance. And sometimes it manifests even physically, you know, we might become actually ill. So it's quite a good invitation, I feel. I mean, for me personally, it has been incredible to just really become clear of what my values are. And sometimes check in when there is a little bit of a, you know, you feel that little cringe inside, and you're checking, am I living from my value, or am I just kind of doing something that's actually nearly opposed to it, you know? And for some people, even their job they're doing might be actually opposed to their values. So again, it's a very gentle invitation, just looking at that in gently, and then seeing what it can add to your life, really, by knowing it. So doing without knowing really will be quite unfocused and can lead to stress. So if I don't actually really know what's all inside me, but I'm just pushing forward and doing, that can be quite hard. So we might experience stress, you know, and we might feel very uneasy and out of tune. So it can be too much. And multitasking is nothing wrong, of course, with it, but it's just, if it's unfocused and it just comes from a doing point, not knowing when to say no. So again, kind of looking at my own values, you know, what do I want? How do I want others to acknowledge me? So the way I acknowledge myself. So really it can lead to an overcrowding of our mind, and attention can be lost. So the mind wanders, and we have just too many things to do, and we're not really clear. We're kind of lost in all the different things. So again, there's little time for self-care, and we're forgetting really about our well-being when we are too busy. That I find is actually an incredible thing. It's nearly like we're forgetting about it. So sometimes I think it becomes maybe interesting to look at, where is your inner circle when you're really out there, you know, and maybe there's a way of bringing for one moment just the attention back into it. And somehow it's like as if we're connecting with our whole being again with this moment, you know, and then of course the doing will be enhanced by it. So it becomes much stronger, because somehow we're showing up with everything that we are. So that's the doing mode. We're possibly all a little bit too much into it sometimes. So then the being is really, you know, from this autopilot, which really is a way of just doing things without knowing, to kind of, get to the conscious knowing. So integrating the knowing, by doing so, we can bring our values in, you know, and we can show up with everything that we are. So listening to our inner wisdom and truth. Are we connected to our three brains? So really, I think it's just wonderful to think of, I mean, the being as such, you know, which we are, you know, we are human beings. And when it comes to well-being as well, to just combine all that and seeing where is there a certain imbalance and what can be done. So these are the three modes of being. So then, of course, how do we get there? You know, when things are a little bit off balance. For me personally, what works really well is sometimes stopping and asking myself the question, you know, what do I need right now? And I think when it comes to well-being, especially, there is we have a feeling we need something. Maybe we need sleep, maybe we need a walk, maybe we need some really good food. So usually our body is telling us, but also our mind is telling us when things are off. So just checking in with the body and the mind, what do I need right now? And then, so integrating these three modes, because it can be very helpful to see where there is an imbalance, and then just gently kind of tweaking it, you know, it has to start from this knowing what is really happening right now, and why are things the way. Actually, the why is not even so important. It's just really what is happening and what can be done. So gently asking these questions. And then doing small changes with kindness. So whatever can be done without pushing ourselves too much and going, oh no, I've done this again, which, you know, there is also that tendency. of kind of beating ourselves up a little bit with the stick. We're all quite good at that as well. So just saying, okay, yeah, I've got caught up again and I'm in this cycle. But as soon as we catch it, we're actually kind of just there. We're here again, and we can kind of check, oh yeah, okay, I bring a little bit in, you know, that I've just, you know, we lose our threads, and then we can come back and bring it all together again. So showing up with all our strengths, connecting to the body, taking time out, pausing, and breathing. So this is actually a little cue just for us to, I know I've been talking a lot now. So I would like to invite you actually for a little breathing pause again. So it's something that you can do at any moment of the day. You know, the breath is always there, but we do forget, which is interesting. I mean, luckily the breath is still continuing, but to really become aware that we're breathing can be an incredibly powerful tool to ground us in a moment and to just give us a little bit more clarity and really calm the mind down. So this is all about calming down when things are a little bit too fast as they go sometimes. So the invitation is just for a moment to become aware again that you're sitting, really feeling your feet on the ground. And then just checking gently in. So what is happening for you right now? What's happening in your mind? And there's nothing right or wrong here. So if there's many thoughts going around right now, that's totally okay. Just observing it, noticing, oh yeah, the mind is kind of busy right now, or the mind is kind of calm, or there's some new thoughts, old thoughts. Not focusing on it, just letting it be the way it is. And then just coming into the body again. Connecting gently with the breath. And if it is helpful, just take a slightly deeper breath in, breathing in, really filling up the chest, and then breathing out. And when you're breathing out, noticing the release in the shoulders, the way the body can just ease with every out breath. So the breath is linked to our nervous system, and it can really regulate itself by just being aware of it. The out breath is linked to the parasympathetic nervous system, just really rest and digest phase, the calming down, the muscles relax, the whole body gets a chance to regenerate itself for a moment. And the in-breath is getting ready. And again, with the out-breath, just resting, digesting. So just for a few more moments, staying with this gentle rhythm of the breath. And it doesn't matter how you find the breath right now. It's okay the way it is. Just see if you can become aware of this, this relaxing with the out breath, the release. And when thoughts come back into the mind, that's okay. Just see if it's possible to come back to the breath. And stay for another moment, not forcing anything, just letting it breathe itself, nurturing the whole body. So the breath coming in through the nostrils into the chest, expanding into all the organs, into all the extremities. Nurturing this wonderful life-giving energy of the breath. And then just gently again noticing the weight of your body, becoming aware of sounds around you. And if you feel like it, maybe gently moving the shoulders up towards the ears. And then slowly rolling them backwards, really opening the chest. You can do that one more time if you feel like it. Just moving the shoulders up, rolling them backwards. Maybe noticing an opening in the chest so that the breath can move freely. So sometimes even just a gentle movement like that, but just a slow movement can change something. So just even on a small level, being aware what the body needs throughout the day. And if there are tension, just see if it's possible to release it gently. So inviting you gently to come back in. If you had your eyes closed, just gently open them. And again, if you feel like stretching or whatever it is that you need right now, I really notice that sometimes it can be, especially when you're maybe sitting a lot on a computer, so the neck can be very tense. And sometimes it's just a matter of very gently moving. You know, we think of exercising as something, I need to go out, I need to put on special clothes, I need to get running or so. But sometimes it's just a very gentle, oh yeah, my neck is sore, and just even just the shoulder rolling or shaking out the hands. You know, sometimes it's just an energy that is somehow stuck as well from maybe sitting in one position. So it can be very helpful to just even become aware of that. And the breathing you can do at any time. So just this grounding and just being with the breath, letting the out breath release the body, you know, so that can be a very wonderful tool. So what I was really wanting to look into as well is little bit of goal setting. And the question is, why not now? When we think of well-being, I thought it was a kind of a fitting one. Why not starting kind of now? Because with goals is an interesting thing I find personally as well. It's something that, oh yes, that's kind of in the future, you know, and it's something that ought to be achieved at a certain time. So if you have another piece of paper, if you have something to write, maybe just kind of for a moment, just looking into what could your action be in regards to your well-being, maybe looking at your circles again and seeing where are they maybe aspects that you would like to, I wouldn't really say improve on, but what could enhance your well-being? Where could you maybe start? What action could you take? Just looking at your own well-being circles, looking at maybe your values again, your inner circle. And that's something you can just continuously keep writing into. Maybe there will be other things coming to you throughout the day. So with these kind of goal settings, it's important to kind of know you can start right now. There's nothing stopping us even today. So I think it is, the invitation would be to say, what can I actually do today? And can be small steps. So just making a little starting point there, what you could do. And then maybe see what could be a bigger maybe thing that you kind of would like to do, that could be maybe on a weekly basis. And then in coaching, we always use the accountability, which is an interesting thing. It's like, because we like to set goals, and then I've experienced many times in my life as well, and then it looks lovely on paper, and we're starting out and we're well prepared, we're going into the first few weeks, and then somehow it kind of falls a little bit by the wayside, which is fine. You know, that's sometimes the way it is, no beating up about it. But that gentle being accountable and making ourselves kind of actually being accountable for our own well-being, or maybe you find a better way of describing that for yourself, but maybe even saying to a partner, I really would want to eat healthier, or whatever it maybe is that you may think. So having someone who says, you know, okay, you know, have you done that today? So, but in a very gentle and kind way, or setting yourself a daily goal maybe that you can tick, or so, saying, okay, how about my self-care today? Was it okay? And then again, of course, we can always start tomorrow. So, you know, if there was a busy day and for some reason it's went by the wayside, you can always start again. But I find it kind of helpful to have a sense of actually being accountable and responsible for my own well-being. Maybe responsibility is nearly that word, but not in a forceful way. So because well-being obviously is something that's very, you know, very light and will give us joy. So everything around that should kind of have that same sense. So I hope that kind of makes sense. Also being realistic, you know, being totally realistic, saying, okay, I'm running a marathon every day, mightn't be yet that kind of thing. But if you kind of aim for it, and if that's what you'd like to plan maybe over the next month, it's kind of like setting those gentle steps. So being realistic, what we have, you know, right now, even regards to maybe food, or so what we have in the fridge, but also stretching ourselves a little bit. So looking a little bit outside of our comfort zone, because sometimes even with well-being, we kind of were in a certain sense of, oh yeah, it's all grand, but maybe there is something else that could really enhance it. So I hope that is helpful. I put down this well-being quiz. So I was looking at well-being online, and I actually entered the well-being quiz. So this is kind of a scientific kind of a quiz they're putting out there. Scientifically supported techniques for measuring well-being, because it's very hard actually to measure well-being, and most of these quizzes you can find out there, they're actually not very well scientifically supported. So you get an email back with a lot of scores. So they're looking at positive thinking, self-confidence, work-life balance. It's a very quick and easy quiz to do, and you're getting this email back. But in each compartment, you can click on to get more helpful skills. So for example, with the positive thinking, I have here, I can click on 16 simple ways to start thinking positive. So in each of these, you will find another link that can maybe help improving it and read. So if that's something you might be interested in, I thought it was kind of an interesting thing to do and to look into. So it might also show you, okay, maybe I'll have to look into this a little bit more, because sometimes we don't know so much even about ourselves. So that's an interesting one. So I hope that was helpful. And maybe don't know if we have time. Maybe we'll do it at the end. So maybe that you can at the end share if you want. So because we are nearing the time. Because I wanted to actually, yeah, no, we're going to do another little a little sitting just kind of in regards to your well-being now and your goals. So just tuning into your body for another moment. And then just letting this whole course and everything you heard this morning on well-being kind of just come back into your mind and your body. And just maybe seeing what is it that you kind of discovered about yourself, maybe by doing the circles. Your inner circles and your values. And then just see if you can bring to mind what really would enhance it right now. What are the things you wrote down? The sound of the sheep goes well with you. So this is just a small reflection for yourself, but sometimes also noticing when we stop talking, we can kind of, the learning can go in a different way. So just allowing yourself to pause and sometimes let things sink in. And take in your own time, so doing things in your very own rhythm. So I found this quote from Deepak Chopra. So for everyone, well-being is a journey. And the secret is committing to that journey and taking those first steps with hope and belief in yourself. And I think that goes possibly for a lot of things, the belief in ourselves. But again, for me, it comes back to the inner circle and knowing who we are and what our values are, and then kind of seeing how the well-being can spread out from there. But committing to it, committing to well-being, committing to joy is can be a very incredible way of really focusing on that in a life-enhancing way. So I hope this was helpful for you, and we can also open up to questions. If you feel that there was anything this morning, maybe in regards to your circles, that you may feel that would be really helpful for you to clarify or look into. So coaching can be a very good tool for that. So really kind of looking into how can you move forward, how can you enhance certain things, looking at the supports you have. And I'm just putting out my details in case anybody feels that they might want to follow up, or if there's anything. So feel free to contact me, and maybe or even via the Dingle Hub. That will also be a possibility. So yeah, thank you so much. And thank you so much for the Dingle Hub for putting on these incredible courses now in these times. And all online, it's all, you know, I was saying earlier, I'm getting used to seeing people now in these small, small frames. So, but I would like to open up for you all. If anybody has a question, if you want to say anything, please feel free to comment, write anything in a box, or just unmute yourself if you feel you would like to share anything. So thank you so much for being here this morning with me. Okay, so thank you very much. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the chat box here. Now I see it. Sorry. Thank you so much for your comments. Yeah, thank you, Grania. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm breathing again. Wonderful. Thank you, Yvonne. That's wonderful. So yes, just remember, you know, the breath is always there. It's a wonderful way to ground. So thank you very much.